Next, from the Midwest, we have Jay Order with cycling pickup trucks.
Jay Order's Ohio DOT. Talk a little bit about our life cycling with pickup trucks. So our goal of our life cycle program is to have a younger, more reliable fleet. We want to reduce downtime, reduce maintenance cost. And we want to have a consistent, predictable budget each year. We want to know what we're going to replace, when, and we can accurately predict what our budget will be. So a little background on our cycling. This started with our snow and ice trucks, I think, probably 8-10 years ago. We broke our counties down to 8, 10, and 12-year life cycles for snow and ice trucks. Most of that was based on snowfall. There was other factors worked into that, lane miles. And then I think within the last 2 years, we had to push that back to 9, 11 to 13. Trucks keep going up, and the budget has remained the same. And then I think around 2015, 2016, we got a centralized budget. So everything comes through our office. Previously, each district would submit a wish list. Finance would look at it, cut it in half, and then they would kind of do what they could. It comes through us, so there's certain things we fund off the top, and we divvy up some of the remaining to let them kind of spend the money how they see fit. So the first thing we worked on was cycling mowing tractors. We have it broken into 2 categories, 3-year life cycle on anything that's a tow behind, like your batwing 10, 15-foot mowers, and then a 7-year cycle on your boom mowers, arm mowers, because they cost so much more. We buy them outright, and then every 3 years we'll send a request for a bid out to 3-4 vendors, then whoever is the lowest overall cost, whoever gives us the highest trade. For the most part, we're John Deere, so we'll take 3 John Deere dealers and bid up against each other, and whoever gives us the highest trade, that's how it works out. A year later, we worked into our loaders. So snow and ice is a big deal for us. We call our signature event. So we wanted to cycle all loaders. We had 15, 20-year-old loaders where you hit the gas and it was rusted and it would stick, and then you'd have issues, and it was a maintenance nightmare. So like I mentioned yesterday, we're about 2 years out from having every loader in the state cycled. Nothing to be younger than 3 years old. We've kind of worked on moving into other equipment. We've had a few districts that are trying skid steers and mini excavators. I wouldn't say skid steers are the most cost effective. I think we get about 50% trade value at 3 years, whereas a loader that costs $150,000 new, we're budgeting $30,000. So it's a little less than $10,000 a year to own these outright. Another thing with the loaders is our maintenance program. So we work into that bid that the dealer will come out and he'll service it. They'll do the PMs. If there's issues, they come out and fix anything. So they know they're well taken care of when we go back to get trade values. Last year, we decided as a state to look at what else we can get on the life cycle. What can we fund off the top every year? So the first 2 things that came up are high ticket items. Sewer jets are about $450,000. So when that comes up, that eats into a huge section of a district's budget. We have about 18 of those, so we do 1 to 2 a year on a 10-year life cycle. We're just trying this out. Last year was the first year, so we'll kind of see how that plays out. We also added milling machines. I think we have 10 across the state, so it was 1 per year. It just makes it a little easier on the districts to know when that piece is going to be replaced. Going back even further, I think 2013, I mentioned this again yesterday, we had an auditor come through and they recommended significantly shorter life cycles. We didn't have the funding to do all of these. Ones that really stood out were the 1/2 ton, 3/4 ton pickups, 1 ton trucks. So they recommended a 4 to 5 year life cycle. So the idea is we get a pretty good discount on new purchases with state. If we do 4 or 5 years, they have really good trade value, and we're not doing much maintenance. So to sell this to our finance department, we looked at what we have spent the last 3 years. I took an average. It was right around $4 million a year to keep a 12 to 15-year-old truck. We have about 1,200 of these 1/2 ton, 3/4 ton, 1 ton trucks throughout the state. Plus, we were spending an additional $5.7 million a year to maintain this fleet. So to get to a 5-year life cycle, we estimated it cost an additional 6.1, puts us a little over 10 million. Finance approved that for the next 5 years to get us on this cycle. It allows us to cycle about 350 trucks a year. And then after the 5th year, we estimated it would be about a $3 million a year savings. So they added $6 million for 5 years, goes to 30 million. It's like a 15-year payoff, but we were able to convince our finance department to add that in. So here's the example. So F-150, prior to 21, this was the numbers we had budgeted: $27,840 to buy a crew cab 4-wheel drive truck. That's for a 1/2 ton. That's the higher end. We don't buy all crew cab, we don't buy all four-wheel drive. So we budgeted on the higher end, and our goal was to try and get 80% of Blue Book value, which would put us about $17,000. After trade, it would, it's gonna take 5 years to get to this point, but after trade, we were hoping it cost us about $10,000, maybe $10,000 to $11,000, and we wouldn't have a pickup truck older than 5 years. So the way we sold this, in a perfect world, if you only have a truck 5 years, you should be doing oil changes each year. Probably won't get into tires or brakes. Again, like I said, a perfect world. I mean, I'm sure we will. We'll still have some other maintenance. And then the other cost we looked at was the upfit each year. So not all of our trucks, but majority of them have strobes, and we changed to mounting those on headache racks instead of mounting them directly to the cab. For 2 reasons. One, we're not drilling a hole in the cab, top of the cab, so there's less chance for rust. And Ford switched to the aluminum body, so our mag mounts were no good at that point. Some of the other things we do upfitting is a chevron. It matches our snow and ice trucks. We're looking at doing a wrap instead of the stickers, so it's a little easier to take off. We do DMIs, laptop stands, and we're looking at the possibility of maybe reusing those. If it's only 5 years old, I think we could probably get 2 life cycles out of that. So we estimated that first year to be about $3,500 upfit, probably on the high end. How we sold this was that we think we could have a pickup truck fleet that's not older than 5 years old, and it would increase our annual acquisition around $1 million. So where we were already spending a little over $4 million to keep a 15-year-old truck, now we may be a little over $5 million, but we wouldn't have anything over 5 years old. So once we're on cycle, if we can truly stay to just oil changes, basic preventative maintenance, we would see probably the maintenance decrease of $3.8 million. So it'd be about a net savings of 2.7. That's really how we sold it. We got approval this past year to start this program about a year ago. We started this in July last year. We ordered right around 400 trucks. We had in some cabin chassis in there. I think within 2 months, and half of those canceled. We worked with our Department of Administrative Services to do our own contract to reorder these trucks. So to reorder those 200 trucks, it cost us an additional $1.7 million 6 months later. So that's how much it had changed. So some of my numbers probably aren't necessarily accurate with today's data. So some of the constraints that we had to try and get this rolling was the contracts, like I mentioned. The way this works for us is if we get a multiple award contract, we can take vendors, bid them against each other, and you're getting the best trade value. Our Department of Administrative Service was not willing to do that. They do low bid per item. So once we did a little convincing, they allow us to do that ourselves. It's also a little unique to try and get dealers to want our trade-ins, to try and give us a value, come out there. It's more work on their end to come out and evaluate the trucks we have. Last year we didn't do any trade-ins just because of the short time frame. We're out to bid now. Hopefully here in a month we'll see how it goes. The dealers seemed a little more interested this time around. Another constraint for us was obviously the cancellations and delivery. I think you're lucky if you can get a truck in 8 months right now, and if you get it at all. Disposals, it's a lot more work for us to track and manage the auctions and all the title work. Another thing we looked at to hold trade-in values, our issues, we can't give our older truck to the dealer until we have the new one. So if they give us a value today for trade value, 6 months that may not hold true. We talked about maybe holding prior year's trucks over, letting them sit. I'm not sure that's the best solution, but that's something we're looking at. At the moment, we're saying give us your best trade value now, and then we can reevaluate when the new trucks come in. And then tracking turn-ins, it seems fairly simple, but I seem to struggle with that with our turn-in numbers. With all of our cycles because we move them so quick. Our sedans and pickup trucks, I think we talked about this the first day. We have a 7-digit equipment number. The first 3 put it into a different equipment category, and the last 4 are unique. Sedans and pickups, we're at our limit, so we're at a point where we need to either add a digit, recycle numbers, which I don't think we really want to do, and we're looking at adding a letter to the end of it. So if your turn-in number for a pickup is 221-5000, the replacement would be 221-5000A. So then in 5 years, it'd be 22000-5000B. I think it makes it a little easier for us to track and see where these trucks go and where they came from. And I would say another big constraint that I did not list is funding. You got to have a lot of buy-in from your senior leadership. Everybody's got to believe you can make this work, and hopefully in 6 months we have some more data and we can we can prove this out. I believe that's it. So, are there any questions on this? Thank you.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.